Where's his dad?
I think Dad has made some excellent progress today.
Your dad, he's the fun guy, right?
And I love him so much, and I think he's the greatest dad in the world.
Welcome back to the Working on the Dad Pod. I'm Alex. With me, as always, is Ethan. And tonight we are talking about adjusting to parenthood, right? And you would think that as two guys who have been doing it for almost 6 years, I've been doing it almost 7, he's been doing it almost 6, that would be adjusted. But this is about those little moments, those little things that are old habits that kind of die hard and are tough to adjust to. And where we need to recalibrate our own expectations around what we're capable of, what our kids are capable of, as a family unit, what we're capable of. But before that, we'll do some story time. After that, we'll work on the dad bod. And this is your reminder to hit up workingонthedadpod.com, where you can find all of our socials as well as our YouTube channel, which is the best way to support us by liking and subscribing on YouTube. If you're not a YouTube person and you want to listen to us while you're driving, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can absolutely subscribe there. But the absolute best way you can help us is by sharing with a friend. If you think you know a dad, a mom, a grandma, a grandpa, and anybody, you know, they could be anybody. Share it with them. They might get some value. You know, if they don't have kids, I don't know how much value they'll get out of adjusting to life with kids, but maybe. Who knows? Maybe they got a dog. Ethan, how you doing?
A little sad. I told you I had a cold open, and then you just went and started the episode.
Oh, sorry. I heard the other way.
No, it's
Did you have something you wanted to bring up in a warm open?
Yeah. So the other day at the library, we got my almost 6-year-old a joke book instead of a book. Well, I guess it's a book. And instead of story time every night, she's decided to tell us a few jokes, and I wanted to share one.
Yeah.
You ready for it?
What's your joke?
All right. Why did the turkey cross the road?
Why?
To prove it wasn't chicken.
That's pretty good.
It is good. It's in a good book. Yeah. So anyway, to answer your question, honestly, it's been a tough week because, as I mentioned last week, we went through the whole. My 3-year-old was constipated.
Sure.
So that kind of spiraled into a few more issues. She's blaming the toilet for her constipation. So she's still like screaming and upset every time she has to poop, even though she has pooped and it has not hurt. She like does not want to go to the potty. It also maybe I don't think triggered it. I'm not going to say correlation and causation are the same thing, but it has led to another a new sleep regression. And she wakes up multiple times in the middle of the night saying, I want you. She usually she just wants to come into our bed. I'd say at least twice a night, I am taking her back to her room and pretending to fall asleep on the futon mat next to her crib that we have put there because she has a missing crib side now that she got used to a big girl bed when we were at the beach. And, you know, she just wants to sleep in our bed. So, you know, usually if she'll like come in at like 5:30, I just don't have the energy to do that for a third time. So I'll just let her snuggle with me, which always results in her kind of commandeering on my space. And I always end up hanging off the bed. Keep in mind that we have a king size bed. And my wife never gets her space encroached on. And somehow a 3-year-old always makes sure that I'm hanging off the bed. Whatever. I'm not thrilled about it. But she's also super defiant, refusing pretty much anything, even if it's something she wants to do. This 2-week period has just been full on 3-age madness. And it has been a lot. I could get into other specifics, but it's just more of the same.
Yeah, I feel that. My son's been in quite a three-nager mood, which by the standard his sister set is like not that bad. So like I never really refer to him as a three-nager, but I'm like, yeah, you're having your moments. Like my wife and daughter were going to Girl Scouts tonight, and they were pulling out of the driveway, and he really wanted to go with them to the point that he like charged out the door, which is like a big no-no for us of like you're not allowed to go outside without an adult's permission, because you're tiny and not very aware of your surroundings. And while we don't live on the busiest street, like it's not something we need. But he charges out there and I have to grab him and I have to pick him up, and then he just like he's sitting there in my arms, just smacking me in the head, freaking out because he can't go to Girl Scouts. And this is the first meeting, so I'm hopeful that in future weeks he will understand that this is just not a thing that he's going to be doing. But that wasn't even my story for this week. It was my daughter being the most extra, and she has had a couple of moments where she just has, as my wife and I were discussing, she has the mentality of a teenager, like the moodiness of a teenager in a, 6, almost 7-year-old's body.
Mm,
And it is very much like something bad happens and she has started diving into nobody loves me. I hate this house. I hate
mm,
all of these people. I want to run away to a place where like I don't have to be around you guys. And it's both tugs at your heartstrings a little, like, okay, how can I show her love when she clearly needs it? And also like a little comical. Because she's doing it with the logical processing abilities of a first grader.
mhm.
And so the first episode was on Sunday night, and she lost her story because she wasn't like doing what she was supposed to. And she decided she was going to sleep in her brother's bed because, and I quote, it's closer to the door so I can make a better getaway. It's top bunk and a bottom bunk.
No, I
Like
mean, she's not wrong. Like that's it. It's yes, it's like negligible, especially if she could do it quietly. But I mean, she's not incorrect. So there's there's that.
yeah. And then she had a meltdown the next day over not being able. Her birthday party is on Saturday,
Mm,
and we have purchased a projector and a projector screen for our living
mhm,
room, and are going to be, even though we have a TV, she wanted the
sure,
projector screen. We were thinking about maybe doing it outside, but Sunset's not going to agree with us to have it at a reasonable time
sure.
outside. So we're doing it inside and showing K-pop Demon Hunters. Um,
Can I come?
what?
Can I come?
Yeah, yeah. It's available on streaming.
Yeah,
So
but like, I want to go to her party if it's like going to be a
yeah, my
thing.
wife's done it up pretty cool. She printed off some like mini soda can, like the little 8-ounce mini soda cans. Printed off some
Yeah.
Saja Boys like soda pop labels. And got some Han labels for the Capri Sun pouches, and she
Ooh,
found a store that had like Korean candies for the goodie
nice.
bags.
That's
So
good.
yeah, doing that up. But she couldn't watch that, and she was like that turned into like a knockdown drag out fight between her and me and my wife in just like a I eventually like just had to tell her to get out of the room to avoid like screaming at her. I was like, because she was being an absolute pain in the butt, a grump, like saying the rudest things, and then also being like, I don't want anybody to talk to me. And I was like, okay, you can be rude or you can be here, but you can't be both. Go to your room
Mm,
or be kind. And she was
right.
like, I want to be rude and I want to be here and I don't want anybody to talk to me. And so like I eventually just had to pick her up and move her to her room. And I said, if you can't do it, I'm going to physically move you, and gave her fair warning, took her to her room, all that stuff. But it culminated on Tuesday, um, where, and I told you this story a little bit in our group chat, but she was riding home, and she was coming home from school, and she didn't have her bike. We were having some tile work done in our bathroom, and therefore my wife was doing a run, and so she needed to do a run to get back for when the Tylers would be here. And so I had to take my daughter to school with my son, and it was just easier to take them in car line. So in the afternoon, she didn't have her bike at school to come home. Her friend comes home with her. They do dance classes together. After a brief play date, her friend has her scooter. So my daughter's walking, friends on the scooter, and my daughter really wants to ride the scooter. Mind you, my daughter doesn't have a helmet either, because she didn't have a bike. We didn't think it'd be that big of a deal. And she got really mad that her friend would not let my daughter ride her scooter on the way home, even though my wife was there being like, it's her scooter, she's allowed to do it. And she brought her scooter, right? You didn't have your bike, and don't be mad at her. Like, it's just circumstance, it's life. Well, then the friend lets her ride it up and down the street a couple times, a few driveways. And then it's like, okay, it's time to go in. It's time to, settle down, get some snacks in you before you have to change for dance. And my daughter wasn't having it. She decided that the friend and my wife come in, and I go, where's our daughter? And the friend's just like, oh, she's outside. She's throwing a tantrum. Like, she's really mad because I didn't let her ride the scooter. And my wife's like, yeah, she'll be in, I guess, at some point, but you're more than welcome to go out and talk to her. So I had time, went out there, and I just see her standing in the shade, one house down and across the street, with her thumb out. She's standing there with the biggest pout on her face with her thumb out. And I walk up to her, I go, and I just act like I'm in the worst mood. And I'm like, so-and-so being her friend, didn't let me ride her scooter. She just turns her back to me. She's like, I'm not falling for this bit, Dad. And I was like, this is where we pout about that, right? And she goes, no, because she rode her scooter all the way home, and then she only let me ride it 20 feet. And I was like, she rode what? Her scooter. Whose scooter? Her. No, that's not the point. I'm like, that is a little bit of the point. And she's like,
yeah,
I'm going to hitchhike to somewhere where some people love me, and not this stupid, tiny, stupid house with all you dummies. And it was like, and so your plans to hitchhike from our road. And I'm like, I think this is hilarious. Like, because we live on a dead end street, right? And so I tell her, I go, the lady's house we're in front of. I'm like, well, it looks like her car's not here. She might be the first person to come back, but the tile guy is out getting supplies or taking a lunch break or something like that. So maybe he'll be coming back. And then after that, it's your grandma. I don't think your options are going to be great of people that are going to be willing to, take you on here. And like, right as I say that, the tile guy drives down the road, and I go, yeah, see, he didn't even stop. And then she just like stomps in the house because she's like, fine. Clearly I'm not in the right spot, and like thinking that she's going to scheme. And so I did have to have a talk with her a little bit of like, hey, this, like, I think you're being over dramatic, and I think you're kind of like, and I didn't mean it in like you're overreacting, but more of a like, I think you are intentionally milking the drama to get reactions out of people. But it scares me because you are 6, not 16. You have no common sense. Like, you should not be, as a 6-year-old, getting in a car with a stranger. And I am afraid that you are not going to know where the line is when it's an appropriate time to like, I'm mad, I'm going to show them. Somebody chooses to stop for me, I'm going to get in to stick it to my parents and like end up in a ditch somewhere. And I'm like, I need you to like pull back on the line here. You're not going to run away from home. You're not going to hitchhike. You're not going to do any of these things. Let's stop pretending they are, because frankly, it scares me. And you cross a line, and there may be things that like I can't take back
Protect
for
you
you.
from. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. That's worse, but different, but probably worse than what I'm going through. I will say, a couple episodes ago, I talked a little bit about, how terrible I felt yelling and how I went a long time without yelling, and then all culminated on my birthday, and I yelled. With my 3-year-old, I will say that something that's been working is, I might need to get her into opera singing because she can scream really loudly for a long time. And I kind of, I keep saying her name, I talk a little louder. She gets louder. I wait for her to take a breath and I say, do I need to scream back? Because it scares you. And she stops. I'll sometimes have to say that a couple times. My wife's not really the biggest fan of this method because she doesn't like that I'm like threatening to scream and scare at her. So, but it's getting her to stop and calm down. So, it's a work in progress.
I think there's like I think there's a line and not being in the conversation. Like I see where your wife's coming from, but I think there's like hey, you know how when I scream at you, you don't like it? That's what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
Kind of
That's a better
phrasing
way
of
to
it.
phrase
And
it.
like you wouldn't
Yeah.
like it if I did this to you. So like golden rule, right?
Mhm.
And then I think it can shift the message, but at the same time, like sometimes you just need the kid to stop screaming.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can try that one next time. I'm sure I'll have plenty of opportunities. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this because it happened in real time where I was feeling something and I thought, you know what? This is actually a good idea for the next episode. So I'm gonna text you. So I did. So the other day we were driving, or we were going to my cousin's son's 5th birthday party. They live, assuming there's no traffic, it usually takes about 30 to 40 minutes to get there. Little bit of capital geography. I'm in Maryland. He's in Arlington, Virginia. You got to go through DC. So, you go through the whole DMV. And the, so we ended up leaving later than I wanted to. There was a little bit of traffic. There was construction on the road. So I detoured a bit. And my whole life, and you will remember this even in college, I'm always on time, if not early. And punctuality is huge for me. Like sometimes things are out of my control, and if I know I'm going to be late, I will let the person know so they're not waiting. Because to me, that's kind of like the next best thing you can be, communicative after being punctual. In that situation, and as a parent, like you can try to pack ahead. You can try to leave earlier. You can try to set everything in motion, but sometimes the kid makes you late. And even though I was going to a kid event, to a family member, one who has 3 kids when I only have 2, one who, sorry, cuz, is notoriously not on time, it still made me really uncomfortable in the moment, knowing that I still have not adjusted to the fact that I'm no longer in control of my punctuality. And so that to me got me thinking about what else have I not quite adjusted to as a parent. And, for the millions of you parents listening out there, let us know what you're not adjusting to. But that's kind of how I wanted to get the ball rolling. For me, the hardest thing is adjusting, or not even adjusting, to the fact that I'm not punctual anymore when my kids are involved.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with that a lot, right? I don't like being late to things. I feel like I spent a lot of my childhood feeling rushed, like rushing out the door, being late. Mostly like I love my mom. My mom is not the most punctual person. I think she knows this in case she listens to this, but like sometimes when we're having a family event, we tell my mom that the time is like 15 or 30 minutes before everybody else.
Mhm.
And then what will
Yep.
invariably happen is my mother-in-law will say something in front of my mom about like, we're still on for 7. And my mom's like, I thought it was 6:30. And we're like,
Mhm. Dang
it's
it.
for you. Because you need to be here
Yeah.
by 7 kind of
Right.
thing. And growing up mostly being me and my mom on like the day-to-day stuff, like there was a lot of that. And also I got blamed for it, even though I would
Mm,
be the one standing by the car first. And I'm sort of like,
mhm.
okay. And so it's always sort of stuck in my craw, so to speak,
Mhm.
about being late and like being accused of being late and being thought of as being late. It's not,
Right.
I don't know that it's as me as much a morality thing, but I think it has bled into that because when other people are late, then I'm like frustrated. And it can be
Mhm.
what you've said, a birthday party. Like, I don't want to say there's no such thing as being late to a birthday party, but like punctuality and birthday parties, unless it's a surprise party, like
Right.
unless there is something happening at the start time, like birthday parties are one of the most casual things. Like
Sure.
cookouts at friends' houses, like or people coming over to our house for something, and I'll just be like, okay, I said 12:30 and it's 12:35, and it's like,
Right.
okay,
Yeah. The I will say.
why am I frustrated here? And I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't even know this is a parenting thing as much as like a character flaw, and I'm getting a little therapy by just talking about it. But with my kids, I'm very much like rushing them out the door and like, let's get going and we need to move. And you don't have a concept of time. I do, so trust me and move.
Right.
And like my daughter, this is where it comes with parenting through nothing that I have done, right? Like I don't know why she's gotten this because I might be like, hey, I don't want to be late, right? Or we need to get going because we're going to be late. And like they've heard late, but my daughter doesn't care about being late. She cares about school and not being tardy, which I understand conceptually is the exact same thing. But you get
Sure.
a tardy on your record. And if
Right.
you don't have any tardies for a month or a year, like there is some prize for not
Mhm.
being tardy. And I'm just like, so I can kind of like with you and like the we'll call it semi-manipulative for the sake of this, of like, I could scream at you. I could be like, you're going to get a tardy. And then she'll be like, oh my God,
Yeah. No,
like,
that's good.
and she's like, I don't want to get a tardy. And I'm like, well,
Can't
then
have it.
put your shoes on.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I mean, that's good that that at least works. I haven't had as much luck yet. I will say with regard to birthday parties, sometimes we would I don't know, we actually sent out my daughter's birthday invitation last night. I don't think we put it on, but if it's a 2-hour party and we know that not everybody's going to be on time, we put the time on the invitation that we were planning to sing. That's basically like, you better be here by then or you will miss the singing. And
okay,
like, cause and to me, I don't want to miss the singing. One, because like that stinks for the kid. And two, like my daughters really love singing happy
yeah,
birthday. Um, but yeah, no, my late, unfortunately he passed away, right after our freshman year of college, but my, my baseball coach from 7th grade through 12th grade. He was our junior high coach and then JV and then, varsity assistant. His name was Don Campbell. And he used to say, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, don't bother showing up at all with regard to practice and
did he
games.
get that from Remember the Titans, or did Remember the Titans get that from him?
I have no idea. Is that in Remember the Titans?
Yeah, that's one of Denzel's lines.
Oh, well then, I'm still going to credit Coach Campbell, but I'm sure it was Denzel.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, It's been a while since I've seen that movie, but he used to say it and it mattered to me. So yeah, so that was that's always really stuck with me. I changed the don't bother coming at all to let somebody know. But it's
Yeah.
again back to the communications. Yeah, it definitely like just makes me feel physically uncomfortable
Mhm.
when I'm late. So that is definitely something that is definitely harder to do when one has kids and
Yeah.
hard to adjust to.
Yeah.
Did you have one you wanted to bring to the table off the bat?
I mean, I think based on your text message, I was thinking more about like the adjusting to being late. And obviously that is that's a big thing for me.
Mhm.
But you know, why don't you go and I'm gonna
Yeah.
like I've got some ideas that I'll flesh out.
Okay.
I'll
Sure.
let you take
The
the
next, yeah, the next big one for me, and we based the entire podcast of it on this. I have spent many story time on it, adjacent, but food autonomy. I really miss single Ethan being able to eat whatever I
Mm,
wanted. Not in the sense that like I could eat as much food as I want, I could eat anything unhealthy I want, but I had total meal control. I
yeah.
miss having meal control. And you lose a little bit of that when you get into a serious relationship. You definitely lose a lot of that when you have kids.
Yeah.
I miss food autonomy. That's what I called it in my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that. And like that's another big one for me. Like I have since we've even probably last talked about getting our kids to eat, right? Like I have really sort of dialed back our menu from like I I think I went through a phase where I'm like, the kids are going to complain no matter what, so I'm just going to cook what I want. And then we've gotten to a place where their palates have evolved ever so slightly, where like they can pick out some things, some staples that they really like. And so, I've got a rotation. My menu's gotten a lot shorter, and we're kind of running through the same things week after week. And I think both from a like flavor profile perspective, like we'll have quite often, bacon and eggs for dinner, do a breakfast for dinner setup. And I'm like, I like bacon and eggs. Don't get me wrong. I cook good, I cook good bacon and scrambled eggs, but like it's usually not what I'm hankering for. But I'm gonna eat it because I'm
Right.
not gonna cook myself something else. Right.
Right.
And so I do that, or we'll have like like chicken Italian sausages and mac and cheese and Caesar salad. And I'm just like, this isn't
Mhm.
a meal I would put together, but it's three things that the kids will eat. And like they ask for the mac and cheese, and I can always go, you want some sausages with that? And they'll be like, fine,
Right.
to get a little more protein. And so I'm like, we have a lot of those meals where I'm like, I don't know that I would be eating this as much, or, like a white people taco night, just ground
Mhm.
beef taco seasoning, some tortillas, some shredded cheese, shredded lettuce, salsa, that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I don't mind them, but they have
Mhm.
become much bigger staples of my diet
Right.
than I would maybe vote for, to be having the same thing all the time. But my other one is sort of the food autonomy, but the schedule autonomy. And I don't just
Mhm.
mean like, oh my gosh, like the kids have so much stuff going on. Like I kind of expected that. And it's a gradual, at least it's been a gradual thing for us.
Mhm.
Of just like, okay, more stuff has gotten added. We've pared back where we needed to. We've added some things, but we're making, our kids pick and choose a little bit. Well, my daughter really. My son's not doing he does gymnastics, as I mentioned, with my mother-in-law, but that's not a time constraint on us. But more what I mean is just like the rigidity of like wake up time, right?
Mhm.
The rigidity of the entirety of the daily routine of just like I've got to make sure these kids are fed every night. I've got to make sure they're in bed every night. They're going to wake me up every night, or wake me up every morning, or I'm gonna have to wake up before them to like get their lunches made, to just get all the things that need to be done, I have to have a fairly rigid schedule. And
Right.
like sometimes I miss, like I have two options. The options are stay up late, watch the show, the sporting event, the whatever that I want to, or miss out on that. Right. And like one is mentally satisfying and physically draining, one is physically restorative. But then I find myself mentally going, I just need a break.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I just need to, like, and so I might stay up late playing video games and I'm going to regret it the next morning. But I'm like, I very rarely have those times where I'm like, I can do the things I want to do and the things I need to do and feel rested and ready for both. So yeah, that
Yeah.
one I'm still
Uh,
not adjusted to.
yeah, I actually wrote down that one as well. I just called it sleep to encompass it, but basically, yeah, like I used to be able to stay up till 1. I'd wake up at 5 to go to the gym. I'd work a whole day, I'd go out, watch TV, do it again, and I had no problem. Like 4 hours of sleep was all I needed to be like a superhero.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, I touched on it in the beginning with just like even just waking up to walk my daughter back to her room to fake sleep so that I can go back in real sleep is just it takes a toll. I've been falling asleep on the couch much earlier in the middle of shows that I don't normally fall asleep to.
Yeah.
No offense to John Oliver, but I have started falling asleep to the sound of his British beautiful voice because I'm
Yeah.
just not able to make it through the episode.
Yeah, I do my compromise on this are Saturday nights in the fall where I will stay up till like the 10 p.m., 10:30 kickoffs, usually the West Coast football,
Mm-hmm.
and I will just watch it on the couch
Mm-hmm.
and I will pass out within 5 or 10
Yes,
minutes.
100%.
But then I wake up in like the fourth quarter at some point and I go, this is how much I needed of this Al
of this
game.
game. Yeah.
Like, and I got some sleep, and I'm still groggy and tired, and I can go get myself to bed. And
Right.
like the absolute peak, like I don't like love when my wife's traveling or whatever. Like the day-to-day gets a little bit harder or whatever, but I'm like, she's gone. She was gone for a couple of weekends. I got to do
I get
that
to
in my
watch.
own bed.
Yeah, I get to
I
watch.
got to fall
Ooh.
asleep. I got to I just set the sleep timer on the TV.
Mm-hmm. That's
Right.
nice.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the move.
That's the
That's
win.
peak move right there.
I like that a lot. Yeah. No, that's a good one. Yeah, I definitely feel it too. The last one I kind of wrote down is I don't think it's like the opposite of that. It's not even the opposite of punctuality. It's just kind of having to be stuck at home because you can't leave kids. And sometimes, if my wife's out, kids are napping, in the state of Maryland, you can't leave a kid home alone until they're 8. I don't know if that's state by. I don't know what it is in every state, but in Maryland, it's got to be 8. And but that doesn't matter because I've also got, even if once my oldest is 8, her younger sister will be 5, so still can't do it. But you can't leave a kid alone, and sometimes it's just like, man, I've got 3 hours right now where I'd love to do something, not even like something fun, like just get something done that can't happen in the house. And to me, that's another one, back to just, I guess that's the other side of schedule autonomy. I've talked a lot about how we've hit critical mass on kids' activities. We're actually in the last week of that. The Tuesday, Thursday swim lessons are over after this week. And the next session, we got both the girls at the same time on Saturdays at 11:30. So we're doing ballet from 9 to 10. And then we have an hour and a half to go from the farmer's market to the swimming center, which is, half a mile walking, so we can get it done. And, we'll still not, with the Hebrew school in there, we'll still have Monday evening gymnastics. However, we've now got one starting at 5:50 and one starting at 6. So they both end at 6:45 rather than one starting at 6 and one starting at 6:25. So our Monday nights are going to get earlier, and we're basically just back to having nothing from Tuesday through Friday, which I'm excited to get back to. Yeah, I think I should know this as coach. They each have 2 more weeks of soccer, but whatever. That's still Sundays. We still have our weeks.
Yeah,
back.
you probably should. You probably should know that as coach.
Yeah, but I couldn't remember the last day. That's all. But I think it's the second. So yeah, 2 more Sundays. But anyway, we're so schedules both like their schedule dominating our lives, and then just the inability to leave the house because their schedule dominates my life.
Yeah,
those were the big 4 I had, man.
yeah. I mean, those
are
all like I think the rest of these, would all of a sudden, I don't want this episode to turn into like
sure
regret on having kids, because that's
no.
That's not what I think either of us mean
No.
by the time of this conversation, but it's the adjusting to it. It's the adjusting to like, vacations, and like it's the little things. Not vacation's not the right word.
Well, it's a different kind of travel,
It is, but I mean it in a little more global sense of like always considering the kids when we are going to a venue, whether that's a restaurant or a show or whatever. Like I have found myself, and this is sort of an adjustment, but it's a frustration. And I feel like I've made the adjustment well, but like my first thought is like, okay, how are the kids going to handle this? Is there space for them to run around, or am I going to have to be like, sit in your seats, Or is there going to be activities for them? Are there going to be things that they will enjoy? Like, are they going to be bored? Are they going to be entertained? Right? It's kind of like the dining out with your kids conversation we were having, of like having stuff ready for them. It's like thinking about that no matter where you're going. And that's definitely a big adjustment too, of like, sometimes you just go places and like, okay, entertain yourself. If you need to entertain yourself, you figure out a way to entertain yourself. But the kids, it's like, okay, do I want to go to this restaurant, or does this restaurant seem like kind of close quarters where like my kids will be loud and a little rambunctious and getting out of their seats, and it's going to be a problem? Or and like we went to a place a couple weeks ago, and it's I don't want to say a nice place, but a little bit nicer than maybe some of the places we typically go to. And it was like an Italian restaurant, and they had outside seating. And so we were like, yeah, we'll sit outside. And the head chef was out there, and he was just like, no. You sit inside. They're not going to bother anybody. It doesn't matter. It's going to be fine. And he like sits down and he explains to my kids like the process of the meatballs. And so like sometimes, and my son's enamored with him talking about like, oh, I can do this and like the things he can cook for him and all that stuff. And I'm like,
nice.
This is pretty great, but it did
quell the expectation. Yeah.
Like, it's the kind of restaurant where there are like upside down wine glasses at every place setting, just in case you pair it, kind of thing. That you're not going to get at Olive Garden, right? No shade, but that's the vibe. So just like really nervous, and it's like, no, it's not going to be a problem. I'm like, okay, well, I appreciate that, but just always sort of think about those things of like, there's got to be something that the kids will eat. There's got to be something that the kids can do. There's got to be, something to entertain them, or space to walk them around, or whatever. Like,
yeah. Cool. Yeah. Do you want to work on the dad bod with me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you go first. I've gone first the last few times.
Yeah, I think you usually kick us off, but yeah, I'm happy to go first. So, and I think we will do. I think this will probably be a future episode that we talk about a little bit more. But for some for some reasons I'll get into in that episode, I've sort of made a switch in my workout plan. So last week when we talked, I was talking about, like wanting to start running and trying to build up a little bit and wanting to do that. Well, switch kind of flipped for me. And now I've started running 3 days a week starting this week. I need to run tomorrow. That'll be my third day. And I'm actually taking a break from the weightlifting this week because I've got like some shoulder issues that I'm trying to do like activations, mobilities for, versus, it's like my shoulder hurts when I do a lot of pressing movements. And so like I was like trying to stay away from aggravating it and actually get it better. And it's not the shoulder that previously bothered me, it's the other shoulder. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should have just focused on one shoulder. Maybe I should have done it for both. Like all the recommendations say. But just working on that and working on the running, and the running Monday was a little bit of a wild card, right? I planned to, I'd gotten it like paced out and timed out of like, this is how my progression wants to go. And I'll start on the treadmill and I'll go to consistent speed. Well, we get to the gym on Monday, and the person who was supposed to be on for childcare, I think, had gotten into like a minor fender bender. And so like she wasn't going to be able to make it for some time. And my wife was just kind of like, I'm not feeling the workout anyway. She was going to keep doing the strength workout. She's like, I'm not feeling the workout anyway. Why don't I head home with him? And what I heard that as was like, okay, she's leaving with the car. Fine. I'll put my stuff in the car, and then I guess I'll just run around the neighborhood all the way back home. Like the gym's within, the gym is less than a mile running, but I can take a circuitous route to add to it. And so this was my first run in maybe a couple weeks. And like, I definitely did not have the pace modulation that like my time, like my mile split was like way faster, but like I was like way out of breath with it. So it was not the best start. Got back to it on Wednesday. I'm going to do the treadmill again tomorrow. And that went a lot better when I could sort of moderate my pace until I can build up to full running for 30 minutes. And then once I do that, and then I can work on increasing the pace and then pacing myself outside is the general plan. But yeah, that's sort of how it's been going for me this week. Fitness front.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I mentioned how on my birthday 2 weeks ago, I was 175.6. Then last week I was 178.6. And then today I was 180.2. And I'm a little annoyed that I have gained 5 pounds in the last 2 weeks. Yeah. However, I have, I'm now 2 weeks into doing 5 mile runs instead of 4 mile runs. I have increased weight and hit higher reps on my weightlifting in almost every exercise that I've done. And I am still looking really good. So I am not sure what I think. I've eaten a little more. I will say that, because I've clearly gotten hungrier, but I think I'm at something's changing in my body where I hope I'm gaining muscle. But we will find out tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is my 7 weeks since my last electro scan where it does everything. So next week I'll be able to report back on if I'm still going down in the body fat. So that's what I'm hoping. But I can't really complain about how I'm looking and how I'm feeling right now, because things are trending in the right direction. Yesterday I only ran because I worked from home, probably for the last time for the foreseeable future. But, I had time in between 2 meetings. So I ran 4.33 miles is what my watch tracked. and I did that at 8 minutes and 4 seconds per mile, which is, faster than I was by about 15 seconds a mile from the last time I ran outside. So again, I am hitting my marks on the treadmill and my self-paced running without, the machine controlling how fast I need to go to not fall is also improving. And, I got very, very close to finally hitting that 18, 18, 18 on the bench press this last Monday. I got to 18, 18, 15 and then did an extra 10, which we talked about last week, doesn't actually count. But, I still did it. And today on the incline with the dumbbells, I was using a 55er on the 55s. And I upped from 20, 20, 20 last week to 21, 21, 21. And then with the 35 flies, I went from 20, 20, 20 to 22, 22, 22. So, I am improving. I am getting stronger. I am getting bigger where I want to the point where the other day I walked out of the bathroom with my shirt off and my wife double taked and said, nice. And I was like, sweet. So things are good. But
who else you got to impress,
Yeah. I'd still like to hit 170. I'm sad that I was 5 pounds away and then went 5 the other way, but maybe I'm gaining some good weight. I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, it's
We'll
also probable that if you are indeed, because fact is you've been consistently you've weight trained enough in your life, right? That you are not a total gym newbie, even when you went back to the gym, right? And so you're going to have the thing where your body is sort of getting back to that baseline that it remembers and understands of your muscle mass. But I think you've been doing it long enough, even in this year, where most probabilistically, if you are gaining serious muscle at this point, it's because you're in a calorie surplus. And that's not that doesn't mean that it's wrong or bad. It's just that's probably just sort of what it is, probably in a calorie surplus, but you're working hard and the calories are going to the right spots.
Yeah.
Right. And that's definitely a different outcome than becoming fat deposits that you're not looking for. Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, my upper body shape is what I want it to look like, which is good. I have definitely been hungrier at dinner time like that. Yeah. I've definitely noticed in the last couple weeks that I, am putting more away at dinner than I was. And I'm aware of it, but I'm also just very hungry. So,
yeah,
I'm also
a thing of and I mentioned this probably last year or even early this year of just sometimes getting diet fatigue when, when you're trying to eat less, even if whether you're physically eating less or whether you're the mental strain of constantly thinking about being in a caloric deficit,
right.
That can take its toll. And you've made good progress, but you've been at this for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Over the course of
March.
this year.
Mm.
And so it's sort of, I don't want to say something's got to give, but at the same time, it might be helpful to take a week where you're not thinking about the calories and not thinking about the scale and then getting back after it, some sort of sharp break. That doesn't mean you have to stop working out. And that doesn't mean you have to stop making wise decisions and eating, whatever the hell you want. But at the same time, just being I'm going to eat my normal food. And I'm not going to think about tracking the calories this week or whether I'm in a deficit or whatever. And that could be the mental thing you need to just sort of hit a reset. Because
and I also, I don't know about you, but I am a common millennial man where I don't go to the general practitioner very often. I have specialists and I go to my specialists once a year and that rounds out my health. but I am very overdue for a physical. So I have scheduled one. And I am hoping that just that overall, getting the blood work will be useful because, as I mentioned, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned on the podcast, but I've got high calcium and I got it under control with some medication. And, the last time I did blood work, things were good. But then the doctor that was tracking that closed her practice. So I haven't had blood work in a while. And I'd like to see how I'm doing. And if that's the case, maybe I can change up just the amount of protein powder that I am having as my daily breakfast. I have what is half a serving because it is high in calcium. And if I'm doing okay, then maybe I can have that full serving, which will hopefully satiate me at breakfast time a little more and then help me by the dinner. I don't know. That's something in there, but just it'll be good in November to get a full body what's the word? Evaluation of my health. So, more to come with that. So, but yeah, next week, I hope I have good results to share with all of you on my full body scan from this last 7 weeks of working out. So we'll see.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Me too. Tomorrow morning is the day. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week with another great episode. Please remember to like, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. And we will catch you next time.